We walked rapidly towards the White House. On our way we passed the residence of Secretary Seward. It was surrounded by armed soldiers, keeping back all intruders with the point of the bayonet. As we approached the White House, we saw that it too was surrounded with soldiers. Every entrance was strongly guarded, and no one was permitted. The guard at the gate told us that Mr. Lincoln had not been brought home, but he refused to give any other information. More excited than ever, we wandered down the street. Grief and anxiety were making me weak, and as we joined the large crowd, I began to feel as meek and humble as a child. A gray-haired old man was passing. His face seemed so full of kindness and sorrow that I gently touched his arm and begged, "Will you please, sir, to tell me whether Mr. Lincoln is dead or not?" "Not dead," he replied, "but dying." And with a heavy step he passed on. Not dead, but dying? We returned home with heavy hearts. I could not sleep. I wanted to go to Mrs. Lincoln, but I did not know where to find her. I would have to wait until morning. The hours dragged slowly. Morning came at last, and a sad morning it was. The flags that floated so gaily yesterday now were draped in black and hung in silent folds at half-mast. The President was dead, and a nation was mourning for him. Every house was draped in black, and every face wore a solemn look. People spoke in subdued tones and walked silently about the streets. About 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, a carriage drove up to the door, and a messenger asked for Elizabeth Keckley. "Who wants her?" I asked. "I come from Mrs. Lincoln. If you are Mrs. Keckley, come with me immediately to the White House." I hastily put on my shawl and bonnet and was driven to the White House. Everything about the building was sad and solemn. I was quickly shown to Mrs. Lincoln's room. On entering, I saw Mrs. Lincoln tossing uneasily upon a bed. The room was darkened, and the only person in it besides the widow of the President was Mrs. Secretary Wells, who had spent the night with her. Bowing to Mrs. Wells, I went to the bedside. Ah, never was man so widely mourned before. The whole world bowed their heads in grief when Abraham Lincoln died.